I will admit it's worse than even I expected, but I did warn y'all. I did. You can run the tape. I am definitely ready to go. It is good to be back in Virginia. It's good to be back in Norfolk. The last time I campaigned, in Hampton Roads, I was running for re-election. And I know I have not aged a bit. It is an issue. You've been around a long time when you're in a photo line and some tall guy, with a beard comes up and you're taking a picture. What's your name? And they pulls out. He says, "This picture I want to show you. This is you holding me as a baby." And you're all, "Oh man, really? I'm old." And Lord knows we need that light. We need that inspiration. Because let's face it, our country and our politics are in a pretty dark place right now. It's hard to know where to start. Because every day, this White House offers up a fresh batch of lawlessness and recklessness and mean-spiritedness and just plain craziness. We got a president who thinks it's okay to use the Justice Department to go after his political opponents. Hey, wait, don't boo. Vote. They don't hear boos, they hear votes. So we've got a president who replaces career prosecutors with loyalists who will do what he wants, and now he's telling them what he wants is for them to hand over millions of taxpayer dollars that he had to pay in expenses for previously violating the law. We've got a commander-in-chief who fires decorated officers because he thinks they might be more loyal to the Constitution than they are to him. Well, he's deploying the National Guard in American cities, claiming to stop crime waves that don't actually exist. We've got masked ICE agents pulling up in unmarked vans and grabbing people, including U.S. citizens, off the streets on the suspicion that they don't look like real Americans. We've got an HHS secretary who opposes proven science and promotes quack medicine. A top White House aide who calls Democrats, the whole party, domestic extremists. We've got some poor labor economist who got fired for accurately reporting bad jobs numbers that the president didn't like. I mean, it's like every day is Halloween. Except it's all tricks and no treats. And here's the thing. It's not as if we didn't see some of this coming. I will admit it's worse than even I expected, but I did warn y'all. I did. You can run the tape. And by the way, he warned you too, because he said what he was going to do. But the fact is, there were plenty of people who voted for Trump and the Republicans anyway. And it wasn't because they wanted to give up the right to free speech or see our public health systems torn down, but because they were understandably frustrated with inflation and gas prices and the difficulty of affording a home and worries about their children's future, and so they were willing to take a chance. Now, 9 months later, you got to ask yourself, has any of that gotten better? Is the economy working better for you? Because it sure has gotten better for Trump and his family. You know, since he's been in office, the whole crypto business and other ventures have made hundreds of millions of dollars, including from foreign nationals and rich folks investing because they want to stay in the president's good graces. The economy has been really good for some of Trump's billionaire pals and for finance bros and well-connected corporations who've seen their tax bills go down and don't have to worry about all these pesky regulators anymore. But for ordinary families, costs haven't gone down, they've gone up, partly thanks to this shambolic tariff policy. Young people trying to get a start in life are having a tougher time than ever finding a job. Entry-level hiring is down 16% from last year. Hundreds of thousands of federal employees, including a lot of people here in Virginia, have lost their jobs to pay for those billionaire tax cuts. We're talking about people who have dedicated their lives to public service, who make the country work. Healthcare premiums for millions of people are about to double or even triple next year. Meanwhile, the government is shut down, and the Republicans who currently are in charge of Congress, they're not even pretending to solve the problem. They have not even been showing up to work. Not in session. Where are you? What are you doing?
He opened by acknowledging something that most Democrats on a stage in front of a friendly crowd would never volunteer, that his own party has made mistakes, that there were moments when Democrats in power got too comfortable, too focused on the mechanics of winning elections, and not focused enough on the substance of what they were fighting for, too willing to speak in language that connected with college-educated professionals, and too disconnected from the working-class voters who felt left behind by an economy that was growing in the aggregate while leaving specific communities and specific industries hollowed out. He said that self-examination is not weakness. It is the precondition for doing better. A party that cannot look honestly at its own failures is not capable of fixing them, and voters can tell the difference between a party that understands why it lost trust and a party that is just waiting for the other side to make enough mistakes. Then he turned to what is actually happening in the country right now, and he was precise and direct in a way that cut through the noise. He talked about the Medicaid cuts not as a policy abstraction, but as a concrete decision about whose lives the government considers worth protecting. He described the people who depend on Medicaid not as statistics or demographic categories, but as working people, elderly people, children with disabilities, families one catastrophic diagnosis away from losing everything they have built. He said cutting $700 billion from that program to deliver $235 billion in tax relief to a few hundred of the wealthiest families in the country is not a complicated economic trade-off that reasonable people can disagree about. It is a statement of values. It says some people's lives and security matter and some people's do not, and the people making that decision have arranged it so that the ones who matter are the ones who can afford to attend fundraisers. He addressed Trump specifically, and he did it without the kind of personal animosity that turns these moments into partisan performance. He talked about what happens when someone in a position of enormous power decides that the rules that constrain everyone else simply do not apply to them. That courts are legitimate when they rule favorably and corrupt when they do not. That oversight is valid when it finds nothing and a witch hunt when it finds something. That loyalty to the country and loyalty to the person in charge are the same thing, and anyone who suggests otherwise is an enemy. He said this pattern is not new in human history. It is, in fact, one of the oldest patterns there is, and the founders who designed the American system of government knew it was coming because they had read enough history to understand that no system of self-governance survives if the people running it decide they are above it. He talked about the judiciary, and he made the argument that most politicians avoid because it requires asking the audience to care about something that feels distant until the moment it directly affects them. He explained what judicial independence actually protects. Not judges, not lawyers, not abstract constitutional principles. It protects every ordinary person who ever needs a fair process against someone more powerful than them. The employee who was wrongly fired, the family whose home was wrongly seized, the person accused of a crime they did not commit. All of those people depend on judges who will follow the law rather than follow whoever appointed them. When a president attacks judges for ruling against him, he is not just venting frustration. He is sending a message to every judge in every case that rulings have consequences beyond the legal record. Obama said clearly that message is corrosive to everything the system is supposed to do, and that the people most harmed by a judiciary that has lost its independence are not the powerful people who can afford to operate outside the system. They are the people who have nothing but the system to protect them. Near the end, he turned back to his own party, and the closing argument he made was not comfortable for everyone in the room. He said Democrats cannot win by simply being the alternative to Trump, cannot win by pointing at everything that is wrong and saying we are not that. Have to have a vision that connects to people's actual lives, actual fears, actual aspirations. Have to be able to walk into communities that have not voted Democratic in a generation and make a case that is about them and not just about the people who already agree. Have to be willing to lose arguments internally, to be challenged, to update positions when the evidence demands it. Because the alternative, becoming a party that tells its own voters only what they want to hear and attacks anyone who raises hard questions, is not actually better than what it is criticizing. It is just the same problem with different branding. The crowd gave him a standing ovation, and the reason is not complicated. He asked them to be better, and he said it like he believed they could be. That combination is rarer than it should be. Drop a comment and tell me what you think. Does Obama's willingness to criticize his own party alongside Trump help Democrats rebuild the coalition they need, or does it create friction with the base at exactly the wrong moment? Hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell, because we are covering every development as it comes. See you in the next one. Stay safe.